Welcome to Huff Goes to the Movies. My name is Eric Huffman II. Most people call me Huff, and some people know that I love going to the movies. Fast X hits theaters on May 19th as the 11th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise, and every week leading up to the release of this film, I have been revisiting a different installment in the Fast and Furious series in order of release in a series called Toretto Tuesdays. So this is the 10th week. This is the last film that I'm going to talk about before Fast X hits theaters. And of course I am talking about F9, the Fast Saga. There is so much to say about this installment of the franchise. This was a really interesting time, not just for the Fast and Furious, but for movies in general. F9 was originally supposed to come out in 2020, but was pushed back a full year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I remember the running joke on Twitter being that for a group of characters who love Corona, it's funny that something called Corona basically made it delayed. But in F9, we meet John Cena's character Jacob, who is revealed to be Dom's long-lost brother. He is seeking revenge for something that he felt was done to him back in their past, back in their childhood. And so he is teaming up with Cypher, once again played by Charlize Theron, to steal a magic thing that could threaten the world, and now our crew, our family, have to band together to find a way to stop him. And famously, this is the film where Justin Lin returned to the franchise. He had really brought the franchise up with installments like Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, and then Fast 6. But because of scheduling, he couldn't direct Furious 7, and then they, of course, found F. Gary Gray to do Fate of the Furious. But for Justin Lin to come back, I think a lot of people saw that as a sign that perhaps this franchise that had started to go a little bonkers with the action and strain any believability when it comes to sort of the big action set pieces, that maybe this would find some sort of return to form where it might be absurd, but it might have just enough tethered to the real world. But F9 doubles down on a lot of the absurdity, a lot of the breaking laws of physics sort of nature that this comes with, that these films come with. And I think that for a lot of people, F9 was just a bridge too far. F9 features some of the most ridiculous set pieces in the entire franchise, whether it is the crew driving over a landmine field, which then goes into a jungle, whether it's them driving over bridges that aren't really there, or somehow slinging cars from one cliff to another. There, of course, is the big magnet sequence that happens in the film where they have cars with magnets in them and the magnets don't damage the metal that's already in the cars. I don't know. But overall, I think F9 actually is right on that line of being both really dumb but also really endearing. And while I saw this film twice in the theaters, I remember enjoying it the first time, but the second time you could really feel it sort of struggling under the weight of all of these characters and all of these massive set pieces. But going into this rewatch for this review, I actually watched the extended version of the film on HBO Max, which features an additional 7 minutes. And I'm not saying that those 7 minutes make the action any more believable, but it does pad out some of the developments in the story so that the plot doesn't feel nearly as rushed. I do still think that F9 probably suffers from having just way too many characters in it, but I think that those additional 7 minutes smooth out the film a bit, especially in the second act, which is where I think the film probably lost a lot of people the first time. Now, F9, of course, is also famous for the return of Han, and I remember when the first trailer dropped, it actually ended with a tag saying, "Justice is coming." But does it? I mean, listen, Sung Kang is awesome, and I think that Han is by far the coolest character in the entire series. I was so happy to see him come back. It's always good to see Sung Kang and Justin Lin working together. Their roots go all the way back to Justin Lin's first film, Better Luck Tomorrow. Han's return in this film feels lazy. It does have an interesting backstory to it, but the actual explanation of how Han survived, there is no explanation. They just kind of throw some stuff out there and now Han is back, which really does hurt. I mean, listen, I certainly want justice for Han, no doubt, but I feel like you gotta give me something, right? I mean, we've been waiting all this time. Give us something. But of course, F9 is also now infamous for being the film that finally took this franchise to new heights. I don't even know if this is a spoiler at this point. I think everyone has basically said it, and the cast certainly started to talk about this before the film even came out, and they feature some of it in the trailer. But yes, F9 is the film that finally took the family to space. And while I think some people are completely given up on this because of that, honestly, I actually think that that space launch sequence is really thrilling. Like, I really enjoy the scene of Tej and Roman going into orbit. Now, do I think they sort of overstay their welcome? Yeah, but watching them actually crack that ceiling and sort of jump the shark, if you will, or I guess launch the shark, I found that to be a lot of fun. And I think to this day, that actual scene that shows how they attempt to get them into space, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And I think that people are way too hard on this movie. I think that this is a very dumb movie, absolutely. It is an overstuffed movie, no doubt. But F9 to me is so much more fun than both Hobbs and Shaw and Fate of the Furious. And I think that it's kind of middle of the road when it comes to all of the films, like if you had to rank them, but I'll save my ranking for after FX comes out. So for now, I would just say that F9 is a really fun time. It's really big, it's really dumb, but it does kind of feel like a bit of a crossover event for the Fast and Furious films. You get to see backstories to all of the characters, and even characters that don't show up as we know them, we get to see how they were when they were younger. So that's pretty cool. It does see the return of the Tokyo Drift crew, which is always great because Tokyo Drift is awesome. And yeah, they go to space. I mean, they take a car into outer space. What more could you possibly want? But for all these reasons, I would have to give F9 a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So that's it, guys. That is all the Fast and Furious movies before Fast X hits theaters. But thank you so much for all the support up to this point. It really means a lot. It's been fun to see the channel grow, and it's been fun to read some of your comments, both here and on social media. But once again, my name is Eric Huffman II. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. That way you can stay up to date on everything that I've got going on here. Salud mi familia. I will see you at the movies. Peace.